All right, welcome everybody. We're going to give a few minutes and let the attendees flow in. Awesome, the numbers are growing. Maria, you're on the East Coast, I'm on the West Coast. What's your weather like over there?
It is pretty nice, actually. We just got over a heat wave and it's like mid 70s. So I was able to turn off my AC for this because you definitely wouldn't be able to hear me over it. How about you?
Awesome. We are, yeah, I'm in California and it's very, very nice right now. I can't complain. We experimented in our backyard and threw some wildflower seeds out, and we have sunflowers that just opened up and it looks so pretty. I'm really excited.
Oh, it's beautiful.
All right, it looks like our attendees are here. I think that we've got a full list. Welcome, everybody. We're so excited to have you here today as we talk about Apsona from a customer's perspective. My name is Chad Harris. I'm the technical support lead here at Apsona, and we have a guest that I will introduce in a moment. I am always curious to kind of learn about our audience, so we have a chat window. I encourage you to kind of use it. I'd love to get a number that kind of represents how many years you've been using Apsona. If you're brand new to Apsona, you could put a 0. If you've been with, for many years, just throw the number of years you've been using Apsona. I just want to get a sense of kind of where people are at with the tool. And I think we'll start jumping in. Ooh, 5 years. All right. 5 months. Ooh, I love 0.75, very specific. 8 years. Wonderful. This is great. We got it all over the place. I would also love, this can happen in the background that we don't have to focus on it, but just kind of love to hear how people found out about the webinar. Did you see something in an email from us? Were you scanning through social media? Tell us how you found out about the webinar. And I'm going to move forward as we do that. So if we could go to the next slide, I believe is yep, there we go. Okay, so we're going to jump into our webinar, but first I want to give you a quick introduction to Apsona if you are new. Sona in Hindi means gold. So we have been affectionately referred to as the golden app. And I think it's so true for so many Salesforce admins out there who use Apsona every day to make their lives easier. One of my favorite customer quotes is, "I won't Salesforce without Apsona." And yes, Salesforce can be a verb. People have depended on our app for many years. We've been on the App Exchange since 2011. We have many, many users who depend on us. We have great ratings on the App Exchange. We've got a great support team that keeps people informed and helps to troubleshoot. And Apsona is useful for any data model, any managed package, any custom or standard object. Apsona works with all of it. That's kind of part of the reason why it exists as a tool, is to give you access to things that you don't always get access to with Salesforce. So that's just a little bit about Apsona. And I think we want to go to the next slide and we'll kind of jump into the topic here. Excellent. I guess we were a little premature. I should have let you do that, Maria. But anyways, let's use this as an opportunity to welcome Maria Gulino, who is one of our Apsona super fans, like many of you out there. We asked Maria to come and talk to our fans about how she uses Apsona in her organization. So this is kind of an overview of Apsona's effectiveness in Maria's organization. So Maria, I won't steal your introduction. I will let you take over, but welcome. Thank you so much for coming, and take it away.
Thank you, Chad. Yeah, let me just pull up my slides for a sec. Alrighty. Can you see my slides, Chad?
Yeah, absolutely. And before you jump in, sorry, I should throw out just logistics. We encourage people to ask questions. So we have our Q&A window. So if you go to the bottom of your Zoom screen and click on the Q&A box, you'll see it pop up. You're welcome to throw questions in there. I will try to sprinkle them in as appropriate. We will also save some time at the end for more live Q&A. But we do encourage you to ask questions, clarifications, and we'll be monitoring the chat. So sorry, go ahead, Maria, take it away now.
You're good. Thanks, Chad. And thanks everyone at Apsona for giving me the platform to talk about how I use it and how it improves my Salesforce productivity. A little bit about myself. My name is Maria Gulino, and I'm a Salesforce admin here at IANS. I graduated from Johns Hopkins in Baltimore in 2020 with a bachelor's in applied math and statistics. Shortly after, I moved over to a nonprofit in which I did economic development, small business programs. So there I kind of learned different skills. Data analysis, event recruitment, and coordination. So I worked pretty much in Salesforce for a while, and I also worked for the data team there, in which I started doing imports and updates in Apsona. So just a sneak peek there. After that, I realized that I really enjoyed learning more about the back end of Salesforce. And so I started doing Salesforce administration. And then after 2 years there, I moved over to IANS in 2022, I think in March of 2022. So it's been about a year and a half now, and I'm a Salesforce admin here, and it's been pretty great so far.
Awesome.
So awesome. A little bit about IANS before I get into how we use Apsona here. IANS is a cybersecurity advisory company founded in 2001. We're based in Boston, but we also have an office out in Santa Monica. And we have about 150 employees. The big thing though is we're growing. We're a pretty quickly growing company. And with that comes a lot of kind of people in Salesforce. Essentially what we do is we provide end user decision support to CISOs, who are chief information security officers, and their security teams. The goal of IANS really is to connect experts in InfoSec to security teams within our clients. We also host events, and we have professional development programs for CISOs and their teams. And one of the things I'll be talking about later on is how we coordinate with our experts and the faculty leaders in our field, and how we bring them to clients. So that's going to be important for my last scenario. So if there's any questions on that, let me know.
Great.
Yeah. And one more thing to note is we've been using Salesforce since 2008. So it's a big database. We have a lot of data, and it's important to keep our data hygienic and clean. So we started using Apsona in 2022. A couple of considerations that we were thinking through when bringing Apsona into IANS. Actually, quick story, I brought Apsona in from my previous job into IANS, I think in May of 2022 when I first started. There was a situation where we needed to import a couple of prospect records, or quite a few prospect records, into Salesforce. And the question was, how do we do it without bringing in duplicates? And so my eyes kind of lit up, and I thought, well, we could probably use Apsona for that. And that was my first use case here.
That's awesome. I hear that so often. People are like, yeah, once I learned about Apsona, I just kind of bring it with me.
Literally, yeah. No, it's been great so far. And in the past, I used it strictly for the import update process. I don't really know about the other add-ons. And I figure here we have a large database. We're a rapidly growing company. We're bringing in new hires every week. And we have a lot of repetitive and manual actions that we take. And so via Apsona, I'm able to, kind of improve my day-to-day processes as an admin, doing bulk updates, imports, and looking at overall data hygiene. And we were able to clean up a lot of internal processes for the teams and for internal teams, and really just make documents and produce professional documents for our experts. But I'll get more into that a bit later on. But yeah, those were the reasons that we considered Apsona, and it's been really great to bring it into to IANS. Before I get into the scenario, as I mentioned earlier, I used Apsona for 2 years, I think, strictly for the import update processes, and I learned a lot more about it as I started working with it. But in this first scenario, I want to talk about what Apsona is and how it's helped us really. So I've used Apsona for smarter imports. I realized that it's quicker than Data Loader for me personally. Moving from my previous job to this one, downloading Data Loader is just always a mess for me. So I figured Apsona is really easy. It's built into Salesforce, it's native. So it's just really easy to use. Also, Data Loader I felt like was a bit harder to set up, and you need to import CSVs. I love the copy paste functionality in Apsona. I do a lot of imports updates. It just makes it a bit easier. And I feel like Apsona has a lot better dedupe capabilities and error functionality capabilities directly in the import update tool. So for me, it's really just improved my productivity as an admin. I'm in Apsona almost every day, just doing different tasks in there. What I appreciate.
I was just saying, have you found that the import process is a lot faster with Apsona versus Data Loader?
Yeah, I think so, because what's great is it kind of blocks me from sending in any data that's not accurate, like picklist values and email domains and such like that, and just it stops me from importing and updating duplicates, which for me is a lifesaver. And I'll go into that really quickly as well. So I appreciate the out-of-the-box import update match criteria. If I'm importing 100 or so new records, I want to make sure I'm not duplicating people in the system. I'm able to match on any criteria that I want, a unique identifier and so forth, and make sure that I don't bring them in. What's also great is I'm able to do quick edits in real time. So if, this happens a lot, I think, where people will send me data to import or update, but there'll be a bunch of data errors in there or just not clean data. So I'm able to go directly into Apsona, make the edits, and move on with the import. And finally, what's really awesome is you're able to omit erroneous records through import. So it's kind of a step-by-step process. You notice you have a bunch of duplicates or errors that you don't really want to bring in. You're able to just skip over those records, move on with the rest of your import. I'm going to quickly show what that looks like in a demo here. So, and let me know if there's any questions.
Yeah, let's see. Nothing yet.
Cool. Alrighty. So in this use case, I'm just going to be importing a few records or a few contacts into Salesforce using Apsona. So here I have a list of 4 contacts that can be examples like faculty members that we want to import into Salesforce as contacts. I'm just going to do a copy paste because I always use a copy paste function rather than importing in an Excel document. I have just first name, last name, email, the account I want to link it to, the account manager, and lead source. So just some contact fields here. And I'm going to go into Salesforce. Again, Apsona can be added to the navigation bar. I always have it at the top of my navigation bar. I do use the console view usually, and I always put it right on top of the home page, the home tab.
Awesome.
Here I'm brought to the Apsona homepage. I have all the contacts and all the objects available to me, custom objects, instance objects, Chad, as you mentioned earlier. That's been really helpfills, especially when doing backfills for like new processes that we have. We utilize custom objects a lot in here. So in this situation, I'm just going to be creating a couple of contact records. I'm going to go into the contacts page, and I'll be brought to kind of the home page in the contact object. I see all the records, their details, and so forth. But really where I'm going to go into is the import update functionality directly in tools. So in the tools dropdown, there are a bunch of different functions here that you can use. In this situation, I'm just going to be importing and updating some things, but you can also build out filters, which I'll show you soon. You can export data and update everything directly in the contact list view as well, but I'll get into that a bit later.
Yeah,
right now we're just
the tools menu is kind of one of our, I feel like sometimes a hidden gem because people, it's very unassuming, but when you go into it, there's just so much power in there. It's pretty awesome.
Absolutely. And like for a while, I would just go directly into the import update and I wouldn't even browse any further below or above. And then I found the update all function, which I'm going to show in the second scenario. And that's, again, just really been a time saver for me. But so when going to add these new contacts, I'm just going to go into import update and it'll be taking me to this 3-step process where here I can either choose to import new records or update existing ones. In this case, we're just going to create new ones. I paste the data in there. Again, you can add a CSV or copy paste data. I prefer the copy paste function. And here's where I would go about making sure I reject any duplicates. In this situation, I want to just match on email because email should be pretty unique in a database. And so I'm just going to go ahead and match the fields on email. You can match on other fields too, but I'm just going to go for the email. And so if it reads an email that's already in the system, it's going to reject it. The field separator here is tab because it's headers from an Excel sheet. If you were bringing a CSV, it would do a comma separated. And for now, I'll keep the batch size as default, but usually if you're importing a lot of data or a lot more records, you would want to lower the batch size. I'm going to go into next, and it'll bring me to step 2. In step 2, you're just matching fields. So in my Excel sheet, I had a lot of the fields kind of lined up with the fields already in Salesforce, like the number, first name, last name, email. So Apsona kind of matches that already for me, immediately saves me a step. And then here I didn't put the actual account ID. So I'm just going to go in here and type in the account ID to map that to the account. And the lead source is already mapped. So the account manager actually I realized is on the account object, not the contact object. And I can either leave it as a do not import, or what's pretty cool is I can remove it from this list immediately in the Apsona setup fields. If I go into actions, remove column, I'm able to remove the one that I don't want. Again, not necessary because you can kind of just hide it or just not use it, but I think that's makes it a bit cleaner.
A good thing to show.
Yeah. And then here right now I have on data errors, we're going to stop and let me know if there's any errors. So if I click next, it's going to pop up 2 errors for me, and you can kind of drag this over to the side and you're able to click on each error and figure out what went wrong. So the first error I have here looks like it's an email error. I put in an invalid email address. And so this is something that I would work through when I'm actually doing the import. What's great is I don't have to go back to the Excel and edit it and bring it back. I can just kind of double click on it.
Yeah.
Again, it's something that I've been doing imports for so long and I just stumbled across it one day. So here I'm able to update.
And while you're doing this, I'm just going to sprinkle some stuff in and say, I was at a conference recently doing some demo stuff, and when people saw the fact that you could copy and paste data in and then edit it live, there was like audible gasps. It was very kind of like reinforcing, like, all right, people get it. Like, this is awesome. The fact that you could literally click on the error, and if you have thousands of rows, it's going to bring you to the actual cell that you need to fix. That is just so cool. And you don't have to go back to the CSV. I can't tell you how many times I've had to do that with Data Loader as a consultant in the past. So just want to, I'm voicing what I'm imagining people are thinking about right now, which is like, wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, I can geek out on it for hours, and
Yeah.
I've been convincing slowly my team that Apsona over Data Loader all the way. But anyway, so after I fixed that error, if you go into next, I still have it to stop me on data errors just in case, I was so focused on importing and updating the right one here. So here, this is where the duplicate and match function works directly in the import update. It's telling me that these 2 here are duplicates, and in the situation I want to ignore them. In the past, what I used to do before I realized I can omit erroneous records is I would download this if it was a big sheet and then VLOOKUP it to the CSV area it originally had, and that took a lot of time. So here, since I'm creating new records, I just want to omit them, and that's what I would do. I would go into omit erroneous records and move on with my import. Now it's going to bring me to the final step, which is to import them. I have 2 new ones, 2 rejects. I can download the rejects if I'd like. In this case, I'm going to ignore them. You can save the mapping and you'll see all my fields here that I mapped to. I always do a quick check to make sure everything is good to go, and then I would import them. It's only 2 records, so I see there were 2 successes, 2 rejected, and now these people will be in the database. So this is just an example of something that I do often. Whether it's importing like contacts, campaign members, or really any other object. I think tasks are one of the things we've been backfilling a lot recently. So creating tasks has been really helpful. So now if I go into my contacts, I'm able to refresh the page and see that I have a couple more here.
Right on. And on the last screen of the import, one of the things I really like is you can click on a little link that brings you to the contacts that you just imported on the Apsona contact page, which is just kind of cool. Like if you brought in records and you just want to start looking at them, you could just instantly go into them in Apsona.
See, I missed that, but yeah, good point.
Cool. Thanks, that's great.
Yeah, and before I go,
a couple questions. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Can I do a couple questions? One of them was from Sarah. She asked, within the dedupe function, using email, is there a way to check the email in the import versus work email, personal email, etc. within Salesforce? So I think she's asking if, correct me if I'm wrong, Sarah, if you can check across different like fields.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chad.
There's not a way to take one field and match it against several at the same time. So there's like different tricks to get around that, or you could kind of like look at different, run it in different scenarios. I don't know if you have any experience, Maria, with like specifically figuring out a method to deal with multiple email fields in Salesforce.
No, personally, no. Yeah, I usually just use the main email because that's the one that would trip up some flows if we try to create new ones with the standard email.
Yeah, if the question is coming from like an NPSP perspective where you have personal, alternate, work, just to clarify, like the preferred email that a person has chosen for a contact will populate the standard email field also. So it's a pretty good chance that if you just use the standard email, you're going to catch the bulk of the issues, because the preferred email is the one that's kind of their active email. But yeah, we don't have a way to check multiple fields at the same time.
I just have one other question. How do you update account owner using Apsona? I use the traditional data loader and usually upload a 2-column CSV, account ID and owner ID of the user, but I haven't figured out how this works in Apsona. Is there a different, is the approach different? I haven't been able to find the matching column in Apsona for owner ID.
Got it.
That's in the chat if you want to look at it, Chad.
I missed that, sure.
Um,
Yeah, no,
I
Maria, you
can-
can talk a little bit about owner in the update scenario, I believe, right?
Yeah, I am. So I'm going to go into that. I can go into that quickly, but before I do, I mean, you can go into the account and do an import update. You can do an update in the account object and flip the owner. Is that correct, Chad?
Yeah, so let's see. It sounds like the person was struggling to find owner in the available fields for matching. Is that right? Let me, sorry, I'm trying to get the chat window back up. There we go. Oh, account owner, got it. Using Apsona data loader, I use traditional. Yeah, so let's let you go through the scenario that you wanted to, Maria, and then
Okay.
you come back to this potentially and talk about different ways.
Sure. Yeah. Definitely. I think hopefully the second portion, the second scenario might answer your question. If not, I think there definitely is a way to do that. But yeah, so again, the first scenario is really something that I do often, at least like once or twice a week. I'll be importing or at least updating records. So I think Apsona really just makes for smarter imports. In this second scenario, I'm going to talk through something that I started using recently, and it's taken me a long time to realize that I can do this, and that I think looking back on it, I'm mad at myself that I didn't realize it sooner. So in this situation, I'm going to be showing you how to use a list view in Apsona to update contact owners. So hopefully this might answer your question, because it's a similar situation where I'm updating contact owners, not account owners. The idea here is we're, again, a rapidly growing company. We have a lot of new hires, and we have new sales reps taking over, sales reps' ownership of a contact. So in this situation, I'm looking to filter contacts related to different sales regions in accounts and update their contact owner. What's cool about the Apsona list view updates that I can do here, I mentioned it a bit briefly in the tools drop-down menu, is that I can essentially create a list view. If you can create a report in Salesforce, you don't have to export it. You can come into Apsona, recreate that report using filters in the list view option, and then just update directly in Apsona. Before, it was a 5-step process for me. I would create a report, filter for territory, export it, change the rows, copy paste it back into Apsona. There's always going to be some error in there, and then update it. So that would take a lot longer than it should, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in this situation, I'm able to just go directly into Apsona, make the switch, and save the process. So I'm going to show what that looks like. Again, we're working in the contact object again. So I'm going to go into the contact object here, close out of that. Alrighty, so I'll be brought to the contact object overview here, and I'll be working in the filters. So again, anything that you can filter on, any fields that you can create a report on in Salesforce, you can do that in Apsona. I'm going to create a new filter, but I can also see other ones people have created already. I'm looking to find people within accounts that are in a certain sales region in this case. And I'm looking for accounts in sales region 1. And what's great about Apsona 2 is I have a contact, so I can filter on contact fields, but I can also filter to related object fields. So in this situation, I'm looking at actually account fields related to these contacts. So which contacts are in prospect accounts that are in sales region 1. So I'm going to look for the account type, make sure it's related to prospect account, add another filter. And this is a custom field that I created called sales region. And I want to make sure that the sales region is region 1.
Right on.
Now I'm going to search, and I notice I have 8 records here related to these specific accounts in sales region 1, and I can see that I'm the owner for them. Right now, I want to change the owner to be Chad, for example. So what I can do is save this filter, because I know I'm going to use this time and time again. I might be changing the sales region, but this is again something that I do often. So I'll save the filter as sales region updates and click save. So then this will appear in my drop-down menu after going forward. Once I have this list view, I can go to the tools. I can export the list as well, but I just want to make an update to one field. So I'm going to go here and click update all, and this will allow me to update all the records directly in this list view. So here, what I would do is I would type in the contact owner. No, I think it's actually just owner.
Yeah.
The owner field, and I'm going to assign it to Chad. It's a lookup field, so I'm able to just type in Chad here and click his name. It looks like 8 records will be updated for me, and I click update. It does it for me. I can save the action. I already saved the filter, so I'm going to leave it, and you can download the results. But now I know that Chad is the owner for all these contacts, and I'm good to go. I can email the boss, say we're good to go, and move on with whatever automation I have to do that day. So this is, yeah, this has been really helpful for me, and just kind of go. I know it's a similar idea to scenario 1, but this is something that I've used time and time again, and it's really improved my productivity.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, like you said earlier, if you don't know about it, you're stuck with going through the whole export import process, and this basically cuts out all of that. So a huge time saver.
Absolutely, and hopefully that answered a little bit of the question prior related to account owners.
Yeah, I think that once we hit Q&A time, we'll talk more about next question, because I think there's other ways to highlight owner too.
Awesome. Alrighty. So if there's any questions, let me know, but I'm going to move on to the next scenario, which is quite different than the importing updating that I've been talking about so far.
Go for it.
Okay, cool. So in scenario 3, I'm going to talk a little bit about the document generation functionality. So this is an add-on. I think it's called the email and document merge add-on in Apsona. And this is something that, for context, has saved hours of time daily for our customer service representatives. I mentioned before that we have experts that we match to clients. Let's say a client, for example, has a question about ChatGPT. The client services representative, or the CS rep as we call them internally, would find the appropriate faculty member to match with the client or the person on the client's team to have a conversation with. During this process, the client services representative would want to give a bit of information related to the client and the question that the client asked to the faculty member. And in doing so, we have a template. I'm going to show you that template that I recreated for this demo. So this is a template that a CS rep would go in, and in the past, they would save this template and then go into the case. We utilize the case records for these engagements. They would go into the case and copy paste like 10 to 15 fields. This is actually a cut down version of what that template looks like. And you see here, it's everything that you see in a case essentially, but it's a contact information, account information, and case information. In the past, this was a very manual process. And for context, we have about 6,000 cases a year related to these types of questions. It takes about 2 to 3 faculty members per case to find the right one. So they're filling in this information constantly. By using the document generation add-on, we're able to create a button directly on the case record on the detail page, and the CS rep can go into the case and click a button and get the same document downloaded. So this is what the final result looks like, in which they were able to download the button or download the document and provide all the information in this template filled in for them. To do so, it's a 3-step process, and I'll show you the behind the scenes. Again, for the CS rep, it's just a button, but for us, it took some time to build, and I actually went to office hours to find and to build this out. It's a 3-step process. We create a report with the data we're looking for. We create a merge action for that report, and then we add the button to the case record via the button action. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. I already showed you briefly here. This is what a really rundown version of the case is going to look like. I'm looking to match this expert here with, for example, George Smith, a CISO from this company, random as a fake company. But yeah, so James is looking to connect with George, and we want to bring in the question, the contact information, and more about the account, what type of account it is, like how many employees is it, so we can kind of gauge where you're at in the situation. So I'm going to go back into Apsona. And in this situation, we're looking at case records. And so I'm going to go into the case object. The first step here is to build a report for the types of cases you're looking for. And to do so, you're doing this because you want to ensure that you have all the fields you want to add into the merge fields on the document. So I created a report already called Expert Call Working Report. And if I take a look at it, what it looks like right after is these are all the fields and these are 2 cases. But to create this report, what I did is I filtered it for any case that has an expert in the field, because in the situation, we're just looking for people who are already matched with an expert, and we want to send the account and case information to the expert. So these fields are added here because any fields that you want to download and have appear on the on the Word document, you should add in here. So I've already added status, account description, name, employees, title, like all the information related to the case and the contact. And similar to what I showed you prior in the list view, you can bring in fields from any related object. So that's why I brought in information from the account, the contact, and the case.
Got it. So you're pulling data from related records. Yeah, that is a very powerful bit here.
Totally, yeah. And this is something in case instead of having to like create all these formula fields, we're able to just grab it directly from their objects, and that's been super helpful.
Yeah.
It also saves the CS rep time from having to go into different records. So once you save and run this, you'll be able to create a merge action from it. And creating the merge action is the first step, or the second step, in which we're able to grab the information, export the document, and then go and put it into a button on the detail page. So what that would look like is you would go up here and click merge mail and either create an action or run an existing one. I already created one, but what's cool is you can also edit it before you run it. So I'll show you what that process looks like that I built out. It's called expert call document, and it's going to produce a Word document. And you see here, since it's based on a report, it's going to produce 2 records for me, and it's just going to show you the template for 2 records. But when you actually create the button and you put it on the detail page, it'll only be related to that case. So here I'm using the document template, and actually I did upload this document here into Apsona directly in the documents object. So that's how you would get that there. Put it in here. The output structure, I just want it to be a single file with page breaks per 2 records, again, because I'm looking to do it more for the button.
Right.
When I click next, this is where I'm using the report to bring in all the fields that I wanted. So any merge action or any merge field that's in this template here, I can see it and I can add to it. I've already mapped them, but the idea is the same here.
And it's the data fields that are available are from the report, right? So you're
exactly
getting a clean list of what your options are.
Yep. So here, for example, yeah, all the fields are from this report.
Yeah, and something I like to highlight for folks, other merge tools sometimes require you to name your merge fields exactly according to like the API name in Salesforce, and with Apsona you could name it anything you want because you're just choosing the mapping yourself. So it's always nice because it makes merge field creation faster. You just type in what you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. And once I finish this, I'm able to wrap it up and download the document. So you can also log the documents that you create in the records, but in this situation, I'm just going to run it so that I can create the actual merge action. Once I run it, I can download the results, and the results will be 2 pages, 1 per merge and 1 per the case. But I'm not going to show what that looks like because I really want to show what it looks like on the actual detail record page.
All right.
So After that, now I'm able to grab the merge action that I created and make a button out of it. At first, when I heard the idea of making the button, I wasn't sure what that would look like, but Apsona basically has it built out for you. So it's a matter of copy pasting some code or a link into a button on the case record page. So I would go into settings here and go into merge actions. I'm going to find my merge action, which is called expert call document that I just created. Here, I'm able to see the document that I used, the data source, and it says make button. So I'm going to make the button. The important thing here is to tell it where you want to use it. So I want to use it on the detail page of a case record, excuse me. So I'm going to put it for the detail page for the case, and I'm going to keep it in Salesforce Lightning and hit generate. Once I click generate, I just copy paste this information in the case page, in the case records page. So I would edit the page. I already have one there, but I'll just show you what it looks like to create a new button. And I think you can download the Apsona button generator here.
Yeah, this is a custom Lightning component that you could download. I will put some links in the chat for that.
So let's say I wanted to drag the Apsona docgen button v2 right here. I paste the code in that I just copied from Apsona. That's it. You can change what the button looks like. So download template, and you can change what the prompt is. So for the CS reps, for example, we just say, run this or click this button to download your document and click save. Also, what I appreciate is you can set component visibility. So we only want CS reps to see this. I don't think anyone else needs to see this information on the case record. But yeah, so once that saves, I'm able to then, in the mind of a CS rep, I'm able to just go in and download the document. Refresh
Quick
this.
question that we got about the button. If people click the button, do they need to have an Apsona license? Yes, people that need to see Apsona and the merge action need a license for the base Apsona package and the mail merge add-on. If you happen to be a larger organization and you have more than 10 standard licenses, you can get a button-only license, which is a reduced cost, and it doesn't require users with that license to have the Apsona base package. So depending on your size, that might be applicable. But if you are working under 10 licenses, then yeah, you need access to the tools to use the button. Thanks. That's a good clarifying question.
Totally. So we have about 12 people that are CS reps. So we have mostly button licenses for them. Well, the most exciting part, it's not letting me, okay. Not sure if this is my internet issue, but. Alrighty. I think I might have added the button wrong probably, but.
Oh, no problem.
That might be the issue.
One of the things that I often like to talk about too with the buttons is sometimes you want like different buttons different merge actions for different scenarios. And you can use Salesforce's out-of-the-box filtering for all the components that are on a Lightning page. And you can make that button appear or hide based on whether it's like applicable. So sometimes you want to have a button that is only going to be used if the record is in a certain condition. And so you can use Salesforce filters to make that button show up or hide itself. And that way users don't accidentally use it when they shouldn't. I always appreciated doing that as a consultant.
Totally. Okay, well, I'm not sure why it's not loading, but I do have what I exported as an example afterward. So once you click the button, I don't know why it's not letting me do it now, but once you click the button, you're able to download the document, and the document will look something like this, where it's merged everything from the case that I showed you previously into the document. And so what the CS rep would go and do is just press the button, download the document, and then send it off to the faculty member. So this has saved a bunch of time. I think we rolled it out in December or a bit earlier, but I've gotten high praise from everyone on the team and the managers and leaders in the organization. So this has just saved them so much time. And we've actually been thinking of different ways to use the button merge as well. And maybe have it for faculty payments, because you can do like kind of tables of data related to contact records too.
That is awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, not sure why it's not working, but
Yeah, it's because you're trying to demo something.
of course, yeah, it never works. Yeah, but that's so that's what the idea of the button. And again, I highly recommend that process. It saved us a lot of time. And also what's great about it is it allows us to really show professional documents to our faculty members. And I think it really improves their lives as well, because this reduces human error. It cuts down the manual work for the CS rep, and it allows training processes to be quicker internally for the teams. So again, this has been really helpful for us internally and I think externally. And this is a bit of a different scenario than the previous ones I showed in the past.
Yeah, thank you. That's a good example.
Sure. Any questions on this before I move on?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, keep cruising.
All right, cool. Sort of bugged me that I couldn't show the final actual document download, but that's what it looks like. All righty, cool. So again, kind of takeaways, hopefully, that you guys have learned from these scenarios and demos. Apsona really saves time and through enhancing the day-to-day processes that I do, but it's also improved the lives of our clients or our experts and internal teams. So not only am I benefiting from the quickness of Apsona, but my teams internally are too. And that's what I'm looking to do. I'm trying to improve processes for our teams. Also, what I've noticed as well, going from scenario 1 to 2, is there are always areas of improvement. And I was kind of late to admit it to myself, but using the update all function instead of having to go through and create reports and export and then import has saved me a lot of time, and I'm able to go back and do it quickly because I was able to save the actual filter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what's pretty interesting too is I was using Apsona for 2 years before I learned about the document email and document generation add-on. And I didn't know about that until my boss mentioned it to me, and then we were able to implement this scenario 3. So just keep learning. There's a bunch of tools out there, and I think that Apsona has a lot of hidden gems. And finally, Chad and Barbara and everyone else at Apsona has really helped us put together, especially scenario 3. So keep asking questions and just attend office hours. I think there's twice a week office hours with Apsona. But yeah, overall, I love the tool. I think it's really benefited IANS as a whole, and it's really improved my productivity and the productivity of our teams.
Awesome. Thank you. That's great. I really appreciate all of those examples. They're all very applicable to people's daily lives.
Totally. And I just want to thank Apsona again for giving me the platform. And if there are any questions, happy to go through some questions or concerns or feedback.
Yeah, so we can unmute people if they want to ask a question. You could either raise your hand or you could throw the question in the chat or the QA box. We did have one from Nick that we could dive in a little bit deeper. I just want to second Maria's comment about office hours. I just put in our chat the details of our office hours. So we hold them twice weekly, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And there's a bit.ly link in the chat that I posted where you could just come. You don't have to register, just show up. You can be a potential customer, an existing customer, it doesn't matter. A lot of times people just come to learn, honestly. They're like, I don't have any questions today. I just want to listen, because there's so much good stuff that comes up in these calls. Like, people ask really interesting questions, and just by hearing what other people are going through, you learn a lot about the tool. And also, like Maria, you said, I didn't know about this or that for a long time, and then finally I learned it. I was like, oh my gosh, I wish I knew this before. There's so many examples of that. I mean, I when I came to Apsona, I learned a bunch more stuff that I didn't know as a consultant. I was like, oh my gosh, I want to use this as a consultant. So there's just like you said, there's so many hidden gems. And so I do encourage people to kind of dig into support documentation, come to office hours, learn what you can, because that's why I work at Apsona, because I want to share the power of this tool with other admins. I've been in those shoes, and I relate to the struggles and the time-consuming aspect of Salesforce out of the box, and Apsona just saves a lot of time. So just want to reinforce that office hours are a great thing to utilize. And I want to talk with Nick more about the question about owner. We also have a question from Kieva. Is there a way to import or update parent and child records at the same time? Oh, what a great question. I'm happy to talk about that unless you have expertise there, Maria, from experience of kind of like multiple object import. It could be kind of complex.
Go. I think I can learn a lot more from you.
Awesome. So the short answer is not really, Kiva. In fact, I'm going to unmute both of you guys just so we can talk more freely. Let's see. Do I have the power? Oh, maybe I don't have the power to unmute. I don't think I do, unfortunately. Oh, there we go. Allow to talk. And Nick, I'm going to allow you to talk as well. So, whoops, I didn't mean to ask you to unmute, Nick, just wanted to allow you to talk. There we go. I will, if I could share screen real quick, I could share an article that can be helpful here. Let me get to it first. So our support documentation is wonderful. It's very rich with information. Sometimes people perceive it as a little dense, which I can totally relate to. Let me get my screen up. But it's thorough. That's the thing that kind of like helps out. There's a lot of information packed in here. And so it is dense, but it is thorough. So what I'm going to just highlight here, you can search for keywords and usually find a pretty good result. So importing data into multiple objects. This is Kiva's question. So the kind of nutshell answer is it's a multi-step process. So you import one part of the data and then you pull out the results so that you get the IDs that you need to do your second import. So as an example, if you were to kind of like want to create accounts and then put a bunch of contacts into those accounts, you could potentially create the accounts, pull the account IDs out, and then use those IDs in the spreadsheet for your contacts to do a second import. But this is the article to kind of like analyze in terms of how to do that. There's a few tips and tricks about how to do it well and quickly and cleanly. But yeah, so you can do it, but it's a multi-step process. It's not like it does it all at once. So let me put this link into the chat. Every time I share screen, I lose my chat window. Oh, Barbara.
I put it in there already.
Wonderful. Excellent. So Kiva, does that kind of address what you're talking about? Is there anything else that you wanted to ask about that?
No, that makes sense to me. Thank you.
Yeah. Great. And Nick, you are also unmuted if you wanted to chat. So, I think I'm still sharing screen, so I can talk a little bit more about owner, but do you want to maybe pose your question in terms of like the struggles that you have faced? And you don't have to if you prefer not to talk about.
Excuse me. Hey, Chad, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so normally I just use the traditional data loader, and what I'm trying to do is really just update contact owner. In our instance, we have person accounts. So I'm basically updating account owner. But normally I just kind of use a 2-column CSV for the data load. And I was trying to like test out in Apsona data loader if I can just paste the data in and do the same thing and hopefully it'd be faster. But I just couldn't find like a matching column for some reason for owner ID. So I don't know, maybe it's like abbreviated as owner, or maybe it's some slightly different naming convention, but that's kind of why I threw the question out there.
Yeah, okay. So one question is, when you say match, are you talking about like mapping an ID field to the owner lookup?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so I'm in contact, I'm in import. Let me type in owner. So are you getting these results when you look for owner?
Let me see.
And while you're looking, I'll just speak to the crowd here. So when it comes to lookup fields, you'll see that it's owner full name, owner user ID, owner username. So you can, I mean, obviously record IDs are ideal. So if you have the record ID, you can just use owner user ID. But with lookup fields, Apsona is smart enough to kind of use other data to find the record. So if you knew that you had unique owner names across your org and there's never going to be a duplicate, you could potentially just put their name in and not need their ID. And then Apsona will find them by full name and then relate them in that lookup field. So it's kind of cool. You don't absolutely need ID, but in general, yes, it is best to use ID because you know that's a unique identifier. But this would be the mechanism. So I want to make sure that you see it. And if not, we could either here or offline kind of look into why.
I do see the owner user ID. So I think I was assuming it was probably just the same kind of naming convention, but I'll test that out and see if that works on my side.
Right on. Okay, cool.
Yeah, appreciate that. Thank you.
Of course. And then Sarah, you had another question looking at document generator again. Is there a way to select the email recipients from a report or contact list? For example, we want to send a summary of opportunities to multiple contacts at a partner agency. So there's probably different versions of that answer. Sarah, I'm going to unmute you as well. Let's see here. All right, Sarah, you're welcome to unmute yourself if you'd like. As Maria, you demoed, when it comes to merge actions based on a report, it's going to look at the report for its data. So if I just go to run this, and I'll pretend like I'm doing a merge. I'm still sharing screen, right? Okay. Oh, sorry, let me back up here and go to an email merge, let's say. So because I'm running this from a report, I have access to the fields of the report to put in as the email address that I'm sending to. But you can put on multiple emails. If you could like get them into the report in a row, you could associate different emails with, the CC, etc. You can also, I believe, you can just put in email addresses just blindly, not blindly, but manually here if you wanted to. But if you were trying to get like record specific emails, you would just need to figure out how to get them on your report so that then you could include them, because this is going to be drawing from the report fields. Does that make sense, Sarah?
I think so. Pretty much something came up this week that we need to work on this with, where donations have come in to support Hawaii. And we want to get back to all of our partner agencies and let us know how much they've raised in their communities, but there's multiple people to talk to there.
Yeah.
So we're using lookup fields on lookup fields on lookup fields to create these relationships. And the top part of the merge field options, I'm blanking on the name.
Are you talking? You said top version. Are you talking about like a sub list where it's like
yeah, so
yeah, okay.
I wasn't able to pull the amount into an Excel file. Like it came into a Word file when I tried exporting to a Word template. So I'm trying to figure that out to then attach the file that's produced to be sent to these specific people.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, it sounds like you have a few things you're working through. I would encourage you, if you get stuck, to either come to our office hours and we can just like share screen and talk through it, or you could always send an email to support@apsona.com with your question. And I'm typically the one that will start with those, and I'm happy to kind of like dive in deeper with you and help work through the issues. In general, I'm fairly positive that we'd be able to get you to the solution that you need. And Maria was kind of highlighting how on these reports you have access to different objects, both parent objects and child objects. And so it's a really cool thing to be able to, if you do have like related records that have the email on it, you can kind of get to them here and start to show them on your report. So you have a pretty broad reach. But yeah, we'd love to kind of work with you closer and try to get it solved for you. Oh, and Nick, you were able to. All right, Nick already successfully tested the user ID. That's awesome. Cool. We are close to time, and I think that we've hit most of all of the questions. Maria, any closing thoughts or questions, or any other questions from the audience here?
No, I think it's always fun to be in a group of admins and other folks who are using Apsona and just, trying to improve everyday processes. So no, it's been great. It's been great to be part of the community.
Cool. Do you still have the slide deck up to show that last slide? Sorry,
Sure. No, you're good.
From you. Cool. Folks are looking like they're happy. We're getting some applause. That's great. I'm going to just close this out here and say that this slide kind of represents the Apsona product suite. So Apsona for Salesforce is our base package that has the import functionality that Maria showed, that has the update all. We didn't talk about drill up, drill down, which is one of my favorite things in the toolbar menu. So, sneak peek, folks, go look for the words drill up, drill down. It allows you to start with a set of records and then just navigate down to all of their related child records, or navigate up to their parents with just a couple clicks. And so you can traverse, dozens of objects within like 30 seconds by using drill up, drill down. It's a phenomenal, powerful tool. So all that comes with the base package. And then these are the add-ons down below. So Maria demoed email and document merge. Dedupe and match is another really powerful tool. Do you have that one, Maria? I don't remember. Or you're looking at it, right?
Yeah, we have it in our toolkit, but we haven't set up like real strict rules yet. So we're working on creating, like monthly deduping.
Yeah. So folks that have a lot of managed package plugins that are constantly bringing in records through an integration, and you're constantly having to deal with Salesforce dedupe rules and all that, dedupe and match is it's a not expensive, and it's a powerful tool. It's so worth it to just keep your data clean. Multi-step reporting is the most powerful reporting tool that I know even exists in the Salesforce ecosystem, and it can allow you to traverse any object and relate them together in a variety of ways into a single report. You don't have any limits with report types or related record limits, and for custom report types, that all goes away. And grids is another great tool that is meant to be kind of a user-facing tool, so you can have a grid-like layout of all your records, live edit them jointly, show related records all in the same view, add new records. It's just a really powerful admin tool. I'll stop talking there, but just want to encourage folks to check out more of the tools that Apsona has. Maria, you did a lot of great and intense prep work for this. Thank you so much for the time that you gave us. You're a customer of ours, and yet you are willing to come on here and just like show the world Apsona. So thank you so much for being a super fan and sharing, what you love about Apsona with everybody else.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for allowing me to do so. It's been awesome.
Awesome. If there's other super fans out there that you would love to show the world how you use Apsona, we are trying to do monthly webinars that are led by customers. It's a more powerful experience, I think, and more relevant to people's day-to-day lives. So hit us up at either support@apsona.com, sales@apsona.com, and say, hey, I'm a super fan. I'd love to show how I use X tool, and we'd get you on the schedule. Cool. All right. Thanks, Maria. Thanks, the Apsona team. And thanks all the participants for coming. We'll see you next time. Bye.